Okay, so the next part of Chapter 13, homework help, YouTube videos this week, is calculate our infusion and completion times for these IV fluids. So, of this information, this is just, you have to kind of think about these just a wee little bit, but I think once you kind of get the concept, it'll make sense to you. So, in our first problem here, we have an IV is infusing at 125 milliliters per hour. And we have of this that's infusing at this rate, 900 milliliters of that left. And the current time is 08:55. And we want to know how many hours it's going to take to complete this remaining amount, and then based on the current time is what time is it going to be infused at. So of that, I'm going to solve for how many hours it's going to take us to infuse the remaining 900 milliliters of this fluid. So with that, since I'm solving for hours here, I'm going to put hours on top. Sorry. So again, I'm going to put here sentences, and that's what I'm going to use to plug in. So 1 hour over 125 milliliters, and again, per dimensional analysis rules, we have to, when milliliters is here, we have to have milliliters here. So I'm going to plug in our other milliliter here and just put that over 1, and then ultimately our milliliters are going to cancel out. So I'm going to do 900 divided by 125, and that gives us 7.2 hours of the time that it's going to take for this 900 milliliters to infuse. So based on this information and based on the current time of 08:55, if you need to just do this kind of in two parts, you can figure out your hour side and then figure out your minute side, but ultimately you have to have this in hours, and that again, this is military time because it's based on a 24-hour clock as opposed to a 12-hour clock, but the first two numbers are always the hour, and then the last two numbers are going to be the minutes involved. Now you'll notice here that we have 7.2 hours. Well, it's going to take at least 7 hours, and then of that 0.2, we have to figure out how many minutes 0.2 is. And to figure that out, we actually take just 60, which is 60 minutes, and then multiply that times 0.2, and that gives us 0.2, 12 minutes. So this is actually 7 hours and 12 minutes that it's going to take to infuse this 900 milliliters. So now we have to plug in this 7 hours and 12 minutes and add this to our current time. So what we need to do is, so I'm going to add 7 hours over here and then obviously 12 minutes. But what I'm going to do first, since when we add 55 and 12, that's obviously going to be more than 60 minutes. So, so 55 plus 12 gives us 67 minutes. So we actually need to take this 60 and put it into our hours. So we're actually going to add another hour. So we're going to add 7 and then ultimately plus 1. And this is going to leave us, because that's going to leave that 60 off, then it's going to be 0.7 minutes. So then we do 0800, and then you add your 7 and then your 1, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So again, this is military time. So 16:07 is when the remaining 900 milliliters are going to be infused, running at a rate of 125 milliliters per hour. Lots of stuff for that one. Let's go ahead and do this next one. So on this one we have 67 milliliters with 275 milliliters of fluid remaining, and the current time is 13:25. So I have 67 milliliters per hour, and we have left to infuse 275 milliliters, and our current time is 13:25. And again, I want to know how many hours it's going to take to infuse the remaining 275 milliliters. So of that, since I'm solving for hours, I'm going to start out with hours on top. So here I'm going to put 1 hour over 67 milliliters. And again, rules of dimensional analysis, I'm telling us that milliliters is going to be next, so I'm going to put my 275 milliliters here over 1. So then I'm going to do 275 divided by 67, and that is going to give us 4.10 hours left. So again, let's put our time here, 13:25, and I have 4.10. So it doesn't give us a nice round number here, so I need to figure out how many minutes 0.10 or 0.10 is. So I'm going to do 60 times 0.1, and that gives us 6 minutes. So here I'm going to add 4 hours on this side, and then I'm going to add 6 minutes to my minutes side. So 25 plus 6 gives us 31, and then 13 plus 4 is going to give us 17. So the remaining 275 milliliters should be infused based on our current time at 17:31, and for those of you that don't know your military times yet, that would be at 5:31 p.m. Okay? So I think all the rest of those are about the same for solving for how much time, based on the current time, how much remaining volume is going to infuse over.